All right, welcome back to the Preaching Residency vlog here on the My Seminary Life YouTube channel. If you haven't yet already, please subscribe and enable notifications to always on. Hit that like button and drop a comment at some point during the episode. I don't care what. I don't have any prompts at the moment. We'll see if that changes as this video goes on. So for those of you who have missed the past few editions of this video series, I have since mid-October been serving in a preaching residency with a church in my hometown where I grew up. And it's been kind of a quasi, not quite interim pastor, but definitely fulfilling some of those interim pastoral roles, specifically on Sunday morning, with the deacons picking up more of those roles during the church or during the rest of the week. That started in, like I said, that started in about mid-October, has gone all the way through to the end of the year. And if you're interested in hearing about that experience or the sermons I preached during that time, you can go check the last two episodes or videos of this series to hear about how that experience has been. Or you can go over to the My Seminary Life podcast and listen to those episodes related to the sermons, like Hymns of Christmas and other shorter episodes as well, rabbit trails and experiential preaching episodes from those sermons. During my time with the Church of Hessville, another church that I had preached at a couple times reached out to see if I could do a just like a 1 or 2 Sundays while I was committed to that church. And I had to tell them, it's like, hey, I'm in this residency right now. It's going to go towards the end of 2024, but they have not decided yet for 2025. So just let me know as you have Sundays coming up if there's any that you would like me to fill in. And I think it was like a week or two later that church reached back out and said, dibs on January. So I finished out with the Church of Hessville up till the end of 2024, and then at the beginning of 2025 I went 10 minutes down the road from that church to Riverside Community Church and served as their preaching resident for the month of January, and that's what we're going to be talking about today in this video. It's been an interesting time for me. I'm not used to preaching this many Sundays in a row, having done the pulpit supply ministry for now 11 years. Usually it's like 1, maybe 2 Sundays in a row. It's been a very long time since I've been going this many weeks in a row in a cycle of studying, preparing, writing, preaching, filling in as a pastor for a Sunday, and to have this a little bit more relationally focused time where I am filling that role of a pastor on a Sunday morning, and so investing in the congregation while I'm there, praying for them throughout the week, spending time with them when special Sundays or special events come up, just to have a little bit more of a relational focus. There's been times with my preaching with my pulpit supply rather, where I've done the deed for the church maybe like 1, 2, 3 times, and then I never hear from them again. Because they just needed me for very specific, usually emergency kind of situations. This has been a unique time to be able to really focus in relationally with a church and really get to understand like their heart and their needs and their desires for their congregation, for the community. It's also been interesting kind of going from one church to the next to very different congregations, to very different styles when it comes to like the order of service, their liturgy. The one church has a little bit more of just like the standard Baptist non-denominational style service, while the other one is a little bit more of that reformed, going to say the Lord's Prayer every week, say the doxology. They don't have like a lectionary or anything like that, but a little bit like a hint more traditional versus a little bit more open-ended. So, each one is fine. I've been in so many different like styles of services from this ministry that I have that like It's just been interesting kind of seeing the two back to back. The one has a very big building. The other one has it's not a, from the outside, it doesn't look like a little white New England chapel, but on the inside gives a little bit more of that like very small, very like not a lot of space to give, basically open air preaching. They have me mic'd, but I think if I took it off, it would not really change that much. A little bit of a younger congregation than the church I have been serving at, a little bit younger, and that's nice. It's nice to be able to think towards a couple different demographics rather than kind of an older congregation, speaking more towards seasoned people who have been following Jesus for a very long time. The big similarity between the two congregations is the fact that they both have found themselves in this situation with younger ministers, younger pastors who want to transition out of pastoring and go into a completely different form of vocation and work. The situations surrounding each are different because no two situations are identical after all. But it is interesting, and by younger ministers, I do mean people closer to my age. One a couple years younger, the other one a couple years older, but kind of that like late 20s, early 30s kind of age group where I think I've talked to some people in the congregations as well where, older members of the congregation who do point out that there seems to be something with this kind of like young millennial, older Gen Z group that has a hard time finding their place in their vocation. I think there's definitely been, I'm not an expert on this part, but there definitely does seem to be in older generations kind of this mentality of you find your work, you stay in your work kind of thing. Whereas, speaking as a younger millennial, it does seem like we care a lot about passion. Like, am I passionate about what I am doing? Is it convenient? I think convenience is a big thing as well for my circumstance. And convenience isn't necessarily a bad thing. It is very much like is it good for my situation right now? You look at like the popularity of like gig work and stay at home, work stuff. So although the situations surrounding both pastors are unique in of themselves, it does have this unifying factor of they are younger and seem to still be like searching for, as Michael W. Smith used to say, my place in this world kind of thing. Sorry. No, I don't apologize. I take back that apology. I'm going to own that one. So one of the things for this current congregation that's been, I don't want to say a struggle. I really like this congregation. It's been a good experience. This past month has been a good experience being there, serving alongside them. The thing that like in a shepherding way that's been, on my mind and praying about is there does seem to be a little bit of inaction. A lot of talk of, and I address this to the congregation of, there seems to be a lot of talk of, this is what we want, but we're uncertain what the next step is. We want to have a this, we want to have a that, we want to have a prayer meeting, but, there was always talk of wanting to do things, but there was never action. And so, during the series that I preached during that month, I was moving them towards action. So let's talk a little bit about the sermon series. I started this month of January with a series called Spiritual Disciplines. It's the beginning of a new year, and many people are in the mind of New Year's resolutions. And for Christians, that looks like making spiritual resolutions as well. I'm going to read my Bible in a year. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and pray every morning. Don't do that. Wake up a little bit later. Like, come on. Cut yourself some grace. But I would talked about in this sermon series about how spiritual disciplines are not necessarily they're not something that we're just supposed to like check the box and move on, but rather specific ways that we relate to God and spend time with Him and grow in our relationship with Him and grow in intimacy with Him. And by no means was this sermon series an in-depth look at every single spiritual discipline out there. I only had 4 weeks, and I basically wanted to focus on one a week. So I picked 2 that I think oftentimes get overlooked. I picked 2 that I think we all can agree are like the most obvious spiritual disciplines: prayer and scripture reading. And when it came to that prayer sermon, the importance of like prayer in our spiritual life, I've preached like for 5 minutes. It was like a 5-minute sermon, and then I used it as a way to prime the pump for the congregation. I called the preaching done early, so that way we could spend as much time as needed to pray. Pray for the congregation, pray for wisdom, pray for guidance, pray that God would show what the next steps would be for this congregation. Because there had been so much talk of this, and I was like, okay, we need to actually like do this then. If I am your pastor for hire for the month, then we need to take that next step and start praying. So that's just a taste of what that sermon series was like, and a taste of, how I was trying to put it into action within the moments of the sermon. Those episodes related to those sermons will be coming out on My Seminary Life, but it actually won't be until May. I know that's kind of far out, especially seeing how I preached them in January, so like 5 months later those episodes are going to come out. And the reason for that is because there's other things on the table for MSL that I wanted to prioritize and get out first. So those will be coming out in May. A couple experiential preaching episodes, a couple rabbit trails. And I know everybody who loves the rabbit trail episodes are bummed that they're going to have to wait a few months to hear some new ones. But just re-listen to the ones that are already out, like if it means that much to you. So those episodes are still to come on the My Seminary Life podcast. Overall, though, like I said, it was a good change. It was different, but the same. But I didn't want to treat it as, I got this. I already got done with 2.5 months at the other place. I got this. Like, I definitely wanted to treat this situation as different. And, I am your pastor for hire now for this month. I'm not trying to just copy and paste what I did over here with this group. I want to experience and minister to you in the way that is best suited for you. So where does that leave me now? So as my time with the Church of Hessville was winding down in 2024, and Riverside already had called dibs on January, Hessville then said, okay, dibs on February. So I'm back at the Church of Hessville for the month of February into March. I think it's the first Sunday of March. I will also be there. And I'm waiting to hear back from Riverside. They said that they would reach back out. They appreciated how I served during January and want me back in the future. So we go on. The journey goes on. I'll be back probably in March after my whole month and a week at Hessville winds up. I'll be back then to tell you about that time. And but yeah, that is it for this video. Thanks for hanging out with me and listening to me talk about what's been going on over the past what are we on now, 3.5 months, going on 4 with this residency experience. Very tiring at times, a little discouraging at times, but overall it's been a good challenge for me, and it seems to be benefiting the congregation as well. There's a few other things in the works with this ministry that I'm in now, but I don't want to say too much about it until it's like ready to go. But yeah, thank you again for watching this video. Please, again, subscribe to the channel. I got a lot going here on the channel. Gonna have a big change coming here on the channel soon as well. It's actually been enjoyable. I've actually really enjoyed putting out video content lately, and I got a big change is on the way. So until then, I'll catch you all in the next video.